Shit is going to happen. Things that are not favorable for your circumstances or whatever are going to happen. Like, it's just the nature of the game. And one of the things that has helped me tremendously is learning how to turn shit into gold. I first heard this phrase coined by Amanda Francis way back in the day. And it's essentially something that I tend to live by myself. And I remember when my husband and I were engaged to get married, and we were actively going to church, and we were volunteers at the church. So we volunteered to, watch the kids, to watch the babies and everything, take care of them so that the parents could enjoy service without a toddler in their face, making them get up and stuff. And so for months, like pretty much a year, right? Like, we were volunteering every month, sometimes every weekend of the month. Sometimes we would volunteer in the same day and do multiple services, especially Easter, when they would have 3 services, and forfeit being able to go or the Easter sermon so that we could volunteer to make sure that everybody's children were taken care of. And when we told them that we wanted to get married, we were told, like, okay, like, here's the protocol. You both have to take a test. You've got to go through this marriage builders program, all the things. So we started doing all the things, right? And 9 months later, we finally get to have a sit down with our pastor, whom we were hoping would actually marry us, for our wedding. And I remember just walking in, and I didn't feel right. I did not feel easy. I didn't feel like a bride. And so what ended up happening is our pastor told us, he said, look, I reviewed your tests, the ones that we took 9 months prior. And he pretty much said that based off of the results of that test, our marriage was not going to last. And that was really hard to sit with, and it's so interesting because, one, I had never heard of, a pastor or anybody utilizing a compatibility test to determine whether or not they were going to marry 2 people, especially church members who volunteer their time every month, almost every weekend. But nonetheless, I do believe all the things happen for a reason. Because was this a shitty situation? Yes. Because he declined to marry us. He said that he prayed about it and God told him. And I don't believe God is telling other people things about Quiana LaChé that God's not telling Quiana LaChé. But right? And just to let you know, he said our marriage wouldn't last, but I think we've made it to the 6-year mark. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how long we've been married. My husband keeps up with that. Anyways, so the point being is, that happened. That was a shitty situation, and it left us then in a place because now it's like, okay, it's crunch time. Like, we've locked down the venue. We've sent out invitations. I, have my dress. Like we're at the final stages of this event coming together. And now I have to search for an ordained minister to be able to perform the ceremony. And that was one heck of a journey. But here's where all of that shit turned into gold. So the ordained minister pretty much let us know that, hey, there were certain things he wasn't going to do. One of the things that we wanted to have was a sand ceremony. And the ordained minister wasn't going to do the sand ceremony. I can feel the frustration, the memories are coming back, the frustration. I'm just what is wrong with all of these people? Anyway, so nonetheless, here we are the night before the wedding, and we're having, a big dinner. My family came. Ethan's parents are there, and his brother, and the ordained minister pulled up. And essentially, here's how this was going to work. He would meet with Ethan and I during this dinner, and then he would sign off on us being able to be married. And so we essentially signed our marriage stuff the night before our wedding, because then what was able to happen was that my father would perform the ceremony. So my father walked me down the aisle, and then he stepped onto the platform, and then he performed the sand ceremony and all, whatever Quiana wanted. Yes, I am his only, but that's just like one instance. And I know that that's not business related, right? But it's just like these things happen. You have no control over other people and what other people decide to do and why they decide to do it. And we can spend so much time wallowing in that. Why didn't they do this? Da 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 da. Blah, blah. We can't control it. All we can do is what we can do. I want you to catch that. All we can do is all that we can do, right? So if this person didn't want to do it, we're going to go find somebody else. And if this person doesn't want to do it the way that I want it done, then we're going to find somebody who will. And that just so happened to end up being my daddy. And so, when it comes to your personal life, when it comes to your business, all of the things, you just have to remember that whatever the circumstances are, whether somebody else placed you there or whatever, it is up to you not to wallow in that shit. And I'm not saying that you are not allowed to feel your emotions about it and anything else like that. What we not going to do, though, is sit there and twiddle our thumbs, right? And I remember this happening to me when it was shortly after, when I was coming out of being homeless, because what happened was I was able to sublet with someone. Nonetheless, months down the road, come to find out she was stealing my rent money. Like, she stole my rent money, and so she wasn't paying the landlord. That was a whole situation, and it was a very, 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 very shitty, very, 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 very shitty situation to be in, to be getting evicted when I was doing what I was supposed to do and someone else didn't. I could not wallow in that, though, but also shit gets turned into gold, and I believe that that's just that's how God loves me. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. Because of that situation, I ended up somewhere else. And because I was in that particular location, that's how I matched with my husband on Tinder. Yes, I'm a Tinderella. And so, it's very easy, of course, to sit back and think about the moments in your life where everything just seemed like shit. And then all of a sudden, now there's gold. And the important thing to take away from that, though, is sometimes when it is like that, and we can look back, it teaches us how we can act in those moments to maybe even make it easier, right? Because sometimes it's okay, we got to the end, now we can look back. But when we're in it, how did we act? What did we do? Maybe what is the part that we played? Whatever the case may be, so that maybe we don't have to go through it again. Sometimes there's lessons that we need to learn, and we continue to go through certain things until we actually learn those lessons. And so, yeah, I just want to make sure that you are good. You are good with being able to recognize when you were in unfavorable circumstances, situations, whatever. And this essentially leads to boundaries. Because when we talk about boundaries, a lot of times people talk about boundaries with other people and not boundaries with self. So even if you go through the process of, having shit and turning it into gold, it's also an opportunity for you to look at, okay, what boundaries do I need to strengthen? What boundaries do I need to put in place, right? So that way, again, we're not repeating the same things over. We're not in the same circumstances, situations over and over and over and over again, because that is the definition of insanity. So with that being said, my Buki, I love you so much. And if that is something that you have been struggling with and you are on the path, though, to wanting to grow, not just in your professional, but also just who you are, your identity, you're shifting yourself, I want you to come join us inside of the Magnetic Visibility Circle Premium. I have over 8 hours that I created of hypnosis audios, subconscious reprogramming audios, things like that are going to help you, so that way you're not finding yourself in so much shit that you have to turn into gold, that you become the kind of person that just magically creates gold in their life. I'll see you inside.